All right, everybody, welcome back to the Zenith 750 Super Duty build. I'm going to start this video off talking about paint and paint schemes. Now, since the very beginning of this project, I've had this army green paint scheme designed in my head, and I really like it, and I really think it'll look great on the Super Duty. Now, what I did was I sent these pictures over to Michael Garber of Garber Designs, and he makes these really awesome illustrations, and he's the one that made this illustration you're looking at right now. It's really neat. It's a great way to envision what the paint scheme will look like on the airplane. And what he does is, when he makes the file, he loads it to a website called Redbubble, and what they do is you can get that design printed on pretty much anything: pillowcases, book bags, stickers, magnets. This is a magnet I got right here. I actually got 2 of these magnets, and I got a bunch of stickers made too, but I don't have the stickers yet. But anyway, I really like his artwork, and like I said, it's a great way to envision what your paint scheme would look like on the airplane. So my intention this whole time was to go with this army green paint scheme, but I'm having a really hard time finding out exactly how to paint this airplane in a satin or semi-gloss finish. I certainly don't want the green to be glossy, and I don't really want it to be just flat either. Like a semi-gloss is kind of what I want. Picture a lot of like World War II airplanes you might see in a museum. They're certainly not glossy, but most of them aren't flat either. They have kind of a satin finish or a semi-gloss finish. The only option I've found so far, and I know there's options out there, you guys can post them in a link below if you know more than I do, but the best one I've found so far is Polytone from Polyfiber. But the problem with Polytone is it's not really designed to go over aluminum. Some people have done it and had good results, and what Polyfiber tells me is some people have done it and not had good results. In fact, even in the Polyfiber manual, it states that if you're using Polytone over aluminum, they've had mixed results with it. So I'm not real crazy about using that paint on here because I just don't know how it will hold up. So, and there's some other issues too with painting it a flat or a semi-gloss. And from what I'm reading and learning online, is that kind of paint holds oils and grease and stuff like that. Even like the oils from your finger, if you have oily fingers and you touch the airplane, you'll see like a shiny spot on the flat paint, and sometimes that can be hard to get off. If you spill gas or oil or something like that on it, it's hard to clean. And even Alyssa from Viking Engines, if you probably know their Super Duty, it's flat black with some gloss red on it. It looks really nice, but she was telling me that flat black is really hard to take care of. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to do this army green. And the other problem I'm having with the army green paint is this. If I'm going to paint the airplane army green, I certainly don't want my wheels to be a nice shiny aluminum like this. So what I do is I actually took all the brakes and axles off and everything, and I was getting ready to split the wheels, and I was going to take these over to powder coater and have them powder coated. But these are aluminum, they're not steel. And I sent an email off to Matco, who makes the wheels and brakes here, and I asked them about getting them powder coated, because I don't know what that heat does to the aluminum when it bakes in the oven. They really recommended not getting them powder coated. Right now, I guess these are just anodized. So, you can paint them, but I guess to paint them, I'd have to scuff this up, use some epoxy primer, paint it, and then if I did it separate, well, when I bolt them back together, then I'm going to have nice shiny hardware in here against a flat green wheel, which doesn't really look good. Or I could paint the whole thing after it's assembled like this and paint the nuts and stuff, but if I ever have to take them apart, it's going to break the paint. It's just becoming kind of a hassle to consider painting this airplane green. Now, I have started to think about other paint schemes other than a military army green one. The problem is I am not creative enough to come up with paint schemes. In fact, all my airplanes, the only airplane I've ever actually really designed a paint scheme is on my Rans S6. I designed all that. But like my Rans S10, that's a pretty common scheme. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit for the S10. Obviously, my cruiser is the Blue Angels scheme, so I didn't really design it. I just kind of adapted it to fit onto the cruiser. So I have a really hard time designing paint schemes myself, but Michael Garber, who makes these designs and these illustrations, is an amazing artist. And he posted a couple Super Duty pictures or artwork with some really, really cool paint schemes. I love this orange one, and there's certain aspects of this green one that I really like too. Now, obviously I can't use these designs because they're designed for somebody else, and I'm not gonna copy or steal somebody else's paint scheme. But I wanna use something kind of similar to this, I think. So now, still not 100% sure I'm not gonna do the Army Green because I really like that whole theme of the Army Green. But it's going to be a lot easier, even painting the interior, it's going to be a lot easier doing a civilian scheme than trying to do green all on the interior and stuff like that, and the instrument panel. And then having the instrument panel silk screened with the labels and stuff like that. It's just, everything's becoming a big headache with the green. So I'm going to see if I can work with Michael Garber and come up with a unique scheme, so I'm not copying anybody else's, but something that's really cool and exciting, kind of like, maybe this orange one or this green one or a combination of them or something like that. So I've really started thinking about different paint schemes, so now I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to do. Tell me what you guys like. Do you like the Army Green better, or would you rather see it in just kind of a more civilian, cool, colorful paint scheme? All right, moving on to some other things here. I mentioned in my last video that I'm not going to use the sliding seat option in my Super Duty. Now, the website lists this as an option, but my airplane came with the sliding seats. I guess maybe it's standard on the Super Duty. But the reason I don't want to use these, well, there's a couple reasons why. The very prime reason is that these are extremely heavy. All of these together, I haven't weighed them, but I'm guessing they weigh about 10 pounds. And, 10 pounds is pretty significant in an airplane. When you build an airplane, you want to keep it as light as possible. And it's amazing how heavy these are, and I don't see any point in carrying around 10 extra pounds. So we're looking at where the seat mounts in the Super Duty. Some of the other reasons why I didn't want to use the sliding seats is because it raises you up another inch, and I don't want to sit too high up in the airplane. I'd rather have, if I'm going to have an extra inch, I'd rather have that in foam in the seats. So I'd rather have the seats down here like where it is on my cruiser. Now, what I was going to do was just mount these seats kind of just like my cruiser is mounted. You got these really nice strong bulkheads here, so I could just put 3 screws in each one and bolt this to these bulkheads. That would work just perfect. The problem with that, though, I just discovered, is if I do that, the seats are too far forward. And I'll show you how I compared that to my cruiser in a second. The problem with having the seats forward is when I sit in my cruiser, the seats are just perfect for me. I'm a 6'1" and I have pretty long legs, and it's very, very comfortable where it's at. And needing the sliding seats, I've had a bunch of different people in my airplane never once needed to move the seat. So I just don't think they're really necessary. But the problem with this is having this seat forward, or more forward than it is in my cruiser, is on the back of the seat. When I get my seats made for the Super Duty, I want to have a little bit more lumbar support or a little bit more foam, which again would push me forward even a little bit more. To get the position of where the seat would be in here, now this, when I mounted the seat in my cruiser, you could actually mount it in different positions, but because the Super Duty structure is a little bit different, the seat can only be mounted in one position because it has to mount on here and then this bulkhead that's right here. So what I do is I measured a distance, because these side pieces are the exact same for the Super Duty and the cruiser. I measured from here over to here on the Super Duty, and then on my cruiser, I measured it also on here. So I measured from that same spot here back to where the start of the seat pan is. And this is about 1.5 inches further back than what it would be on a Super Duty. Now all these bulkheads and stuff and the inside here is a little bit different on the cruiser than the Super Duty. So the front of my seat would probably be about right here on the Super Duty, which moves me forward, maybe about 1.5 inches or so. And then on my seats, like right about here, these seats actually have a nice lumbar. It's thicker down here, but I want to see if I can get just a little bit more, just to push it out a little bit more. So like I said, between having this pushing forward and then having the seat actually mounted already 1.5 inches forward, I'm afraid that when I sit in my Super Duty, I'm just going to be too far forward to be comfortable. So what all this boils down to is I think that I'm going to have to use these sliding seats. I'm going to have to mount these 4 pieces here, get mounted on these 2 bulkheads, then this seat pan sits on top of here and it can slide back and forth. So I guess I really don't have much option. If I was shorter, or maybe some shorter people, maybe that would work fine, having their seat pan here. For me, like I said, I think it's going to be too far forward, and I'm going to need those sliding seats so that I can move the seat back. So anyway, that was why I didn't want to use the sliding seats, mostly for the weight. Otherwise, I just don't think I needed sliding seats. But the way the seats mount in here, they can only mount in one position, and I'm afraid it's not going to be a comfortable position for me. All right, guys, before I sign off here, I'll give you a quick update of where I'm at. I now have the push rods connected to the bell cranks down there. I have all these side pieces here, the armrests riveted on. And you'll notice over here, I have mounted a double USB port there. So if somebody's in the back seat, it'll be handy. And it's even handy if I'm sitting up here, I can reach right around and plug in my phone or something there. So I chose to mount it there. They're all riveted on the outside here, so that's done. I've been working on these pieces here, getting them in here. The bottoms have to be all drilled out to 3/16 for some bolts. And then after that, this steel piece right here gets put on like that. And then there's some more holes on both sides that get drilled. But one of the problems I have is, I hate to complain, but Zen Air up in Canada, who builds these fuselages, seems to have a real lack of quality control. These holes right here are all supposed to take A5 rivets, so it's a 5/32 hole. Well, all of these holes are drilled larger than 5/32, but smaller than 3/16. So they used the wrong size drill bit. Actually, this hole right here was drilled to 3/16, and then all these other holes, like I said, I don't know what size they are, but they're larger than what it needs to be for an A5 rivet. You can't make a hole smaller, so the only option I have now for all of these holes is I have to open them all up to 3/16, and instead of using an A5 rivet, I have to put A6 rivets, which these 2 right here are A6s. I have to put A6 rivets in all of these. It's the same on the other side too. All those holes are drilled the wrong size. So I think pretty soon you'll see this airplane on the gear. Now, one of the things I was working on, remember I said those holes were drilled the wrong size. So all of these holes I have to open up to 3/16, and my drill bit is so dull, I have to go get another drill bit to actually drill this out. And this is pretty thick steel. So that's about all I can do right now until I get a new drill bit. So it's coming along nicely. The firewall is pretty much, all those parts are ready to rivet together, so I'll probably rivet them all together, and then I want to prime and paint all the firewall pieces before I get that put in. And then I guess I can start working on the nose gear, and then maybe off to the main gear, put the wheels on the axles and the axles into the gear, and pretty soon we might have an airplane on the gear. So stick around, lots more videos coming.